Hello everyone, today I'm focusing again on the memory of World War I, and I come at it with two different perspectives. First is with David Rennie, who wrote about the role of American writers in the American narrative on the war and how different it was from the European narrative, given that Europe, of course, took much heavier casualties and was involved for much longer in the Great War than the United States. Now, Rennie argues that a lot of the writing regarding World War I focuses on the anti-war crowd in the United States, but explains that there's a much more diverse viewpoint here, particularly the struggles of African American and Native American troops in the war, and how they faced a lot of racism upon their return to the United States afterwards. How did that contribute to the struggle for civil rights and equal recognition, along with how did their treatment in Europe inspire them in different ways. He also talked about the role of women in the war effort and how a lot of their contributions to World War I led to some movement in the suffragist movement moving forward. Similarly, Christopher Capozzola wrote Uncle Sam Wants You, World War I and the Making of the Modern American Citizen, where he discusses how the Great War marked a transition from the 1800s era culture of obligation, usually around local politics, to a different framework around national government and obligations. For example, the 1917 Selective Service Act, along with different actions of encouragement or even pressure from the Red Cross or the American Protective League, meant to encourage or in some cases coerce American men into the war, particularly through military means, as well as contributions from women through nursing or other medical contributions at the front line, as well as knitting and food conservation. How did that help bolster their role and their voice with the suffragist movement? But beyond that, I also wanted to look at memory from other populations affected by the war. So I looked at David S. Fogelsong's review of America and the Armenian Genocide of 1915, edited by Jay Winter. Fogelsong reviewed the book, and he looked at it from two different viewpoints. Looking at the genocide, how it was carried out, of course, under the auspices of World War I as the Ottoman Empire joined the Central Powers. On one hand, there was a sympathetic view of the U.S. through John Milton Cooper Jr. that argued that the U.S. did wish to do something to help the Christian populations, Armenians, Assyrians, and Greeks, but was too focused on the Western Front to do so, and also was never at war with the Ottoman Empire. So it contributed a lot to humanitarian efforts, but wasn't really able to do much more besides raising awareness. There was also the more critical view by Lloyd Ambrosius that Wilson failed in his leadership on the issue and preferred that Europe take a central role. And he also blamed Congress for the inaction. So Fogelsong argued that this was a harbinger to the Western response later in World War II to the Holocaust. And then we have Nazan Maksudian, who wrote Agents or Pawns, Nationalism and the Ottoman Children During the Great War, arguing that children weren't just passive victims in the war, but were sometimes used as agents or pawns. For example, sometimes they were the breadwinner for their families during the conflict, but they were also used in propaganda campaigns. Children of fallen Turkish soldiers were used in propaganda efforts to rally the nation around the flag. And also there is a campaign of Turkification and encouragement for child victims of the genocide of Christians in the Ottoman Empire who were adopted sometimes forcibly by Muslim families and converted to Islam or otherwise Turkified, as the term goes. So these are different interesting viewpoints on memory and the war from two opposite sides of the world, and I hope that you enjoyed this.